this week. Learning portal. And for this week, we'll build an application that is a messaging application. You send a message from one user to another user. But it also support adding people as friends, so you can add, you can send message to them. So this is a clone of Facebook when Facebook came out. Just add someone as friend. You can follow somebody. So here's some example of the final app, guys. So are we ready for it? And this is some inspiration. So this app, for example, this person can edit your profile, and then you can upload an image if you like. Obviously, these are the profile image thing is an optional feature. It's all doable if you want to do it. And then you can start sending messages to other people. In fact, this guy wrote an app that these are past submissions from previous classes. This guy wrote an app that allow you to send messages between 3 different people and then they all display dynamically. So this is a bit advanced. That this is like ABC. This is a group chat feature, and with all this autocomplete stuff. Now, what we focus on first is this login and sign up feature. Register or log in here. You can support login with Facebook this week as well. So those of you who want to do extra things could do login with Facebook, Twitter, or anything else extra. And again, the app idea here is that you can view messages sent between one user to another. You can add people as friends, right? You can try with different CSS framework. It just happens that all 3 of these guys are using the Google Material Design CSS. They're different libraries though, but they're all ugly. I think I don't like. Yeah, Material CSS. I don't think they look that much better than Bootstrap anyway. They're all the same. They're all like something to start with, but I have some really cool UI, UX concepts. The kind of button here, and when you click on the button, it's sort of a ripple effect. Okay, one step at a time though. Think about the homework this week. It's about the ability to support user creation, user login, user adding other user. A user has many friends. But friends are just users. So imagine you have a table and a user can have many users as friends. That's a bit different from last week. A section has many food items, right? A user has many messages, but also, I have received messages and I have my sent messages. So they are also different. So this week we handle more complicated use cases more complex use cases that you see in real life. Okay? You mark a message as read or unread. Also very common. So this app may be a little boring. It's a social network app that no one builds anymore because there's Facebook now. No one ever builds any social network app. But 10 years ago, everyone wanted to build a social network app. So here's the basic app to give us an idea. This is the minimum. You should aim for the minimum, which is logging in, logging out, sending messages. So I have some test data here, but here's what we're going to build. I can sign up as anything, right? And after I sign up, it automatically it doesn't automatically log me in. That's sad, but I can make it log in. I just sign up, so now I can log in. Okay, and I can view my messages sent in and out. I can maybe edit my profile. Obviously, this very minimal. There's not even edit. That's sad. Let's see. I can send a new message to my friends. I have no friends yet, so I have to go and add some friends so I can send to them. We all get the idea, right? We have some fun requirement, like you should only see a message once. Like the message will disappear after how many seconds. That's more like a Snapchat feature. Okay, let's get started with user login or user creation, user sign up. Could someone give a guess? What is easier to implement? User creation or user login? What is easier to implement? Creation. What's easier? Same? All right, create. So it's a lot of concept as we do code walkthrough. Code walkthrough is just not, oh, I'm showing you how to type code. I'm doing a lecture in a form of code walkthrough. So interrupt me, ask question about concepts along the way. So I'm going to call this my lecture 5, week 1. In your lab, you do similar things, just call it, lab 5.1. So let's see. Actually, let's just do it with you there. It's a new app. -J here means I'm using JavaScript instead of jQuery. -D, PostgreSQL. Instead of CoffeeScript, right? Oh, I'm so sorry. It's JavaScript instead of CoffeeScript. Okay? PostgreSQL. Done? I used to love CoffeeScript, but it's no longer needed because we talked about that already. So it's good. So let's go to this lab 5.1. What's the first thing do you do? To stay awake, you really need to talk. Get out. What's the first thing? Ian? Come again? Right. Git init. Oh, actually, they already init for me. That's why it say reinitialize. So with a Rails app, no need to do git init, right? You just git status, and then you see, oh, there's no commit, but I just untracked file, so git add, right? And it's cool because there's git ignore. So when you add this file, it will ignore the log folder and the temp folder, so it's not there. So it's quite nice. So git status again, everything seems to be added and waiting for for commission for your next commit. So I'm gonna do. I'm sorry, that's the short format. Commit. I just say first commit. All good. First. Now let's do the home page, right? Wait, homepage, yeah. But I'm going to, before homepage, I'm just talk about user first. A user is, I need a model. All right, what are some attributes I need in this model? User model, yeah. Email is a string. And by now you know that colon string is not needed if it's a string. Are we okay with that? What's the next thing? Password. Anything else? Huh? Oh yeah, maybe some website use like username or login or handle, all these names. Nowadays, people realize that, hey, it's a tricky thing to make people remember their username, so people tend to log in with email, and it's not as common to use username. It still exists, but when in general, if your app is not that popular, you don't want to make the user remember 2 things. GitHub is very popular. It's okay, right? And these sites, they need a username because it's different. But for a lot of applications, like how to track your to-do list, to-do item, project management, right? There's no need for username. Just use email.
We just make the 2 options and you can type whatever it's okay.
Huh?
I think they should make 2 options and they can type username.
Correct. You can do that, right? And then it can be really confusing. There are still a lot of confusing websites on the internet. Even SurveyMonkey, oh my God, so many times like, oh, what? Like email doesn't exist, username doesn't exist. It can be really tricky. So start out homework, please forget username. You can do name, however, if you like first name, last name stuff. All right, I just add email, password, name. We good? There's one important concept that we learned today. You should never store password in the database. Why? If your password for your bank account, okay, or Gmail, the most important account of all, your Gmail is, sexy handsome 357, and that's right. Well, I look over your shoulder, or no, look over your mind. So let's say your sexy handsome 37 exclamation mark. That's very complicated password. It's good. The problem is now I create an application and hey friend, you want to use my application? And I say yeah, sure. I test it out. But then password, yeah, I just enter my Gmail in email. Password sexy handsome 357 exclamation mark, right? So now your password's on my application, and tomorrow I ask Tân to try my application, and Tân go and do /admin. Tân can hack my app. Tân say, I can see Quý password is, sexy handsome 357. And then Tân can actually go to your Gmail and try it. Now you may think that's impossible. That's like, who is that stupid, right? Now let's say 2 years later, I have 1 million users. And out of 1 million users, guarantee with you, so grandma of your friend or someone, like you have a lot of them that use the same password. Because they see that I don't want to remember too many things. So with their Gmail or their Apple account, now your application is very popular. You only, let some careful people edit the data, look at the data. Someone's going to hack your website. It's guaranteed that there's nothing that's absolutely safe. And someone can just write a script, go through 1 million users. For each user, check all this website, Gmail, Twitter, Facebook, and just log in and try these things. And they for sure they can, get a few of these users. And once you get, even if you get an admin user, someone else, you can even hack into the site, and then you can get more. And that's how a lot of sites get hacked. You can register your name here if you want, and then likely you also will get notified. What happens? These are the sites that have that kind of problem. So let's say LinkedIn. You actually, even in this case, is that people are a lot smarter than that. Okay, so what happens is they don't store your password. They encrypt your password into another string. So the LinkedIn case is that if you type the word, password 1, they encrypt it to be something like this, right? The problem is someone discover the key, the way you encrypt it. So this is one-way encryption, right? Password 1, and then it will be this, right? You cannot take any string and decrypt into this. But someone know how to encrypt from here to here, so they go and encrypt the entire dictionary and any other common password you can think of. Password 1, password 2, handsome, sexy, handsome, and then they have all these strings. Now they have a hash. And then they will look at the LinkedIn database that was leaked. So then they're like, this key is the same, so this guy must have the same password. So then it's leaked. So when this came out 6 years ago, it was fun. Like we have this huge database of this huge text file. So I could load this text file, and I can find how many accounts actually have the word password 1, or like change later, or like anything you can think of. When you have these many million users, you can always find users who have that kind of password. It's fascinating, but it's really easy to be hacked. Just be that careful. If, for example, I see that you use password 1 on my website, I store this, or maybe I can, like the LinkedIn leak, they somehow people know to reverse. I can just say, go to Gmail with this email, try password 1, password 2, password 3, password Gmail, any other string. Like computer is so easy to automate the task. So be careful, yeah? Or If you store your password in your seed file and you push to GitHub, admin123, it's seed file. I need to create an admin account. You push to GitHub, and then 5 minutes later, your boss say, hey, we're going to launch or make it a private repo. So your public repo on GitHub is only there for 5 minutes. And then the site becomes popular with 1 million users, 10 million users, and you still have this account admin, password is admin123. You did not know, but it was on GitHub for only 5 minutes. Within that 5 minutes, many bots already visit GitHub and actually download your data. And later on, they actually still remember that, oh, you have, I'm going to try with all the seed account that you have. So be super careful out there. So it's very important today that we talk about how to implement the password things ourselves. And it's awesome to be able to understand it in a simple way. This is one of the harder to understand topic, but we can just, if we learn it the right way, it's actually quite easy to understand. All right, so at least I recommend that you subscribe here, and then you will, if Dropbox, even Dropbox is leaked, and you know, in other places get leaked, you get informed, right? You see all of them here. You see Dropbox, you see LinkedIn. It leaked in one way or another. Sometimes it's not about all these cases. None of them are about the plain password cases. Actually, most of them are not, but some are. But LinkedIn is not that stupid. But you know, the Dropbox is not that stupid. But they somehow find the leak anyway. So be pretty careful out there. Okay, so with that, guys, no more password. Let's store something else. We store the hash of the password. Okay, something like this. It means if you type ASDF, it will be like, you know, some weird character that only you know how to encrypt from A to B. And no one, including you, can decrypt from B to A. This is a one-way encryption. We'll understand that one-way encryption thing later. Now, this is called password digest. Hash, but this is the name. So in all your homework, you're going to name this password digest. All right. So I'm going to create this user. Are we okay creating that user there? And what's the next thing after you do create the user? All right. Let's migrate the database. All right. So go to Rails console. It's important to understand how to use the model in the Rails console. We have the user. If I do user.first, what do I get? Nil, right? If I do user.create, what do I get? It creates, and I have an empty everywhere. That's not good. So how do I fix this? What's that? Can you speak louder, please? Yeah, so you can destroy user.first or .last. There's only one account there, right? User.last.destroy. Now, no more user. Let's prevent, you know, very bad user account. So the first thing we do is validate what? Email, what? Presence is true. What else? Uniqueness is, we all understand this part, right? Now Rails actually allow you to do even more than that. I'm showing you just one thing. Rails validate uniqueness, case sensitive. Okay, so let's see. Case sensitive is there's an extra thing here. Case sensitive. So case sensitive, is it true or false? False. Let's see if this works. So I create the first user. Email is Harley If I create it again, it will fail. This is good, yeah? I cannot create a user that say email cannot be blind. We all understand so far? Great. Now I need something else. I need a password. So I want something like this. User, now I'm gonna create and destroy that user again. So there are no more user, okay? So now I create a user, okay? I can set this user name to be, I can set this user email to be, I want to set this user password and I save it. Okay? So it's like this. Back to our week 1 content. How can I save this password like this? Does anyone know? If I do this right now, what happens? Undefined method. So how do you fix this, Oscar? Define password equal value, and then
or attribute.
we'd learn the Ruby way, right? Yeah. So let's try this. Reload. Now user dot new here, and then a dot password equals hello. Good. So now we need to do. I need to be able to get the password out. If I press this, Louis, what's gonna happen? Undefined method. How do I fix this? How do I fix this? Ian? Define the reader. Guys, this is not, I'm not trying to trick you guys. How hard is this? Right? No, so please pay attention on this one so we can get this concept. I need you to challenge me on the question. So, no password. Enter some password. I can get the password back. Right? So, that's not bad. What I want to do is to save this digester. So, here's my simplest, right? It's the simplest way ever that if you look at my code, you may feel like this guy is doing something cool. I have no idea what the password is. Password digest is, I'm going to take password and I reverse it. And then when you read the password, that's it, really. I think I'm just going to do that. And then I'll show you guys a.new. A is the user.new. A.password. Look very carefully at this line, okay? Is, and then now a, this is your password. Reverse. But let's say there's something much more complicated than this. This is not reverse. It's going to be something like, you know, amazing encryption. And then you pass in this password, right? And then it will turn into some crazy string. Okay? So for now, this is reversed like that. When you get a password, I actually don't care. I mean, I just return this if this is a new password value. If you load a again, another a, it will forget what the password is. Actually, that's okay. I can explain that later. Now I need a method. I need a method. This is called, is it the valid password? For example, it's like I call it a valid password, and this valid password I pass in, you know, another temp password. How do you check if this password is valid or not? You compare this current password with, I wanted to check from the database. Password digest dot reverse. So I need to encrypt this the same way. So I take this password, I will reverse it, and I'll compare with password digest. Now, let's take a look. I'm going to save the user, okay? I have a user.create. I have email is example.com, and then password. Now here's the cool thing, look at this. I can define this password. It looks like it's a column. It's a field in the user database. Yeah, this is user model here. And I create this. You see that it create and it set the password digest indirectly because of this line. Right? Are we clear on that? Feel free to shake your head so I can explain better. When you pass in this hash, it's like saying a.password is something there, right? I did that up there. Okay? So now I have this method, valid password, question mark. If I do this another word like guessing, what does it return? True or false? False. So what should I type to make it true? ADSF, right? And it will be true. So imagine this code in your controller, user's controller. When the user log in, you would check the user, you check params password, the user submits some password. So you will check something like this. User is like that, no? You check this, and the visitor submits some password to the controller in the form. The form submit to the controller. The controller has params password. Okay? How does the controller find A? There's some params email. So probably it find this user by user, find by email, params email, right? So when the user submit an email, when the user log in, this is how you find the user. But after that, let's say I find this by this user. That's A. After that, to log the user in or not, you can check whether the password is valid or not. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So this is false. Then you don't let the user in. Then please try again. If they enter the right one, then you let the user in. Are we okay with that? So move around, because if you if you're not clear on this part, I need you to ask questions. Make sure you're clear, because the next step, we need this to be understood. So this is called a virtual attribute. It's virtual because it's not real. But when you set a password, I set the password digest. So I need to implement an algorithm. Good for us. We're building application. We're not the math guy. Some math guy already tell us how to encrypt this password. All right. So we're going to do something like call this encrypt stuff. That's what I'm going to do next. So very quickly before we get to lunch, Ruby, there is a library for you to encrypt your data. It's called BCrypt, and this is common in a lot of programming languages and other frameworks. We all try to use the same thing. Okay, so the way we use it is that when we include the ability to use BCrypt, then you can encrypt your password. So look at this guy, and it may be a little this one may be a little hard to understand. Let me see if there's a better one. Okay, this is fine. So in the BCrypt gem, there's a password class. And in BCrypt gem, if you take here, if you set a new password, this class will encrypt that into a value, and you pass back to the password hash. They call it password hash, we call it password digest. I'm gonna implement that right here so you guys can see. BCrypt, uncomment it out. Excuse me. Thank you. Bundle. Now Rails console. There's a way to include this gem, so this called oh no, that's not good. How do I use BCrypt? Did I edit the right gem file? Oh, I did not save it. Rails console. Don't worry, you will not have to include it. Okay, alright, we're still awake. So BCrypt is something called a password class. You see this? I don't have to type include if I just type BCrypt password, but it's long, so that's why you see this guy use BCrypt. It's a little shorter. Okay? So password.create ASDF, that's how you encrypt a string. So this is new even for our TAs. So you guys will see that in Rails it does the magic, but this is how you encrypt it. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. So every time you add a string, it's always a different encryption.
The password.create is a BCrypt method.
Correct.
Okay.
Password is a class in BCrypt,
Yeah.
and then create is a method inside, a class method inside a password class. So I go back to the user model, and here, instead of password.reverse here, password.digest is BCrypt. I don't need include. I just call it directly like this. Dot create. What? Value, baby. Okay.
Input the same value and encrypt person will be the same.
Yeah, let's try. Very good question. ASDF. Uh-oh.
This would be different.
What's wrong? What's wrong? So there is another concept that is when you check whether it's valid or not, BCrypt. When you encrypt, there are just a few of the elements here. So I'll introduce this next before I. This is called sorting. Like it's using a randomization method, but every time you do it, the way it randomizes it is different. So you can let's take a look at this guy, and we will have a better idea. So this is the encrypted value. Okay, this is the encrypted value, and it looks like a string, but it's not a string. It looks like a string. It just behaves like a string. You can compare it with a string, but it's not a string, right? It's just more than a string. In this case, there in the concept of encryption. In the concept of encryption, there's a thing called, obviously version here is not too much. This is like, each time you encrypt, there's a, you can say, the last time I encrypt, I use this algorithm version 2a. So it's always the same. Unlikely you're going to change this. There's also something called cost. It means you choose an encryption cost. Cost 1 means it encrypts very fast. Cost 10 means it encrypts very slowly. It uses more computer power to encrypt it. Why? Why you need it to be slow?
Isn't it longer?
You make it harder to encrypt. If someone is a hacker, is using encrypt to guess everyone's password based on the dictionary, it will take this person longer to try different password. All right. So when you encrypt, it may take 0.1 second. When you encrypt for one user, when you log in, when you create an account, that's fast, right? So the difference between this very fast and fast to one user is no different. But the difference to the hacker who is trying to do a million, encryption, the difference is huge. So you definitely want a very expensive cost. So 10 is a high cost. Okay? Here is a really weird thing. Because I have encrypted, okay? I have encrypted and I do dot equal ASDF. Then you see true, and whereas this is false. So you don't compare two encrypted guys together. You use this equal. It's like, what? Can someone guess what's happening? That's weird, isn't it? Encrypted is this. Then can you guess what's going on?
Was he encrypting the right side and then comparing the two?
Yeah. Then too late for you. You're too slow. Could you try to explain how it works? Why is this equal returning true? When if I take this value, here, okay? This is the value, let's say this value, I convert this to a string here. So this is your value, and value equal ASDF, it will return false. So why is encrypted equals this, it return true?
Well, encrypted is not a string, right?
Right. So the equal variable is you guys have to see that this is a method. Equal is a method. So it's like someone define a method def equal value inside the password class. This is the argument and this is the method. Right? The left side and the right side are not the same. So if I have to guess, I probably can take a look, go into this guy, look into the folder, look into the password class, and then I will see, okay, look, it has a reader for cost for version. You see that? Here's the equal method. So the way it does the equal is that it also encrypts the other password and then it compares the two of them. Obviously, if you look at this, it still doesn't make much sense because some of you may not be that familiar with Ruby, but the concept is important. The concept here is that if I encrypt here, take a password and encrypt, I can always check if ASDF is the password or something else is the password or not. It means down here, this is what I did there, but how do you check this? Password digest, right? It's actually like dot equal current password. That is the method, but of course no one writes like this. So equal current password. I'm done implementing my complicated user encryption. Let's try it. Reload. A is user.last. That's the user we did before. Uh-oh, this is not a very good password digesting. A.password. I'm going to name this password complex. Now look at A again. Now password digest have been written using BCrypt password create. I'm going to do a.save, so let's save it. Okay? I quit. I run the console again. I find A, the previous user, right? Now I check a.valid password. ASDF, does it return true or false? True? Who say true? Raise your hand. Who say false? Raise your hand. People who don't raise your hand mean you're too hungry. So what is the password?
Complex.
That's right. Uh-oh. I did something wrong. Why? Oh, look. I think it's a bit more complicated than that. I wanted it to be true, by the way, so we did something wrong. We're too creative here. They want to compare this with this. Huh. So, where's my password.new? So they want this password.new, password digest equal that. so they can compare, because password digest right now is a string, guys. That's why. Remember a.password digest? It's read from the database and it's a string. So you want this to be back to a password class. So BCrypt password.
So it has to create a new password.
It just convert this back to
Password class.
yeah, a password class. It still looked like a string, but now you can compare it with complex. Damn, right? So I need to do this. It means I can just convert this right now when I read a password out, right? Yeah, I think this looks good. I save it like this. Now let's try one more time. User.last. All right. If you submit a form, it will be like user.params email. The user submit what's your account? a.example.com. What's your params doesn't exist. So let's say params email is a.example. So then user.find by email. Params email. So right, this is your A, right? You find the A user, now valid password. Let's pass and guess, right? The user submit like ASDF, true or false? True, right? Are you sure? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. We still have this problem. It's supposed to be false, guys. The password is not ASDF anymore. All right, let's take A is user last. This guy, valid password, false. What is the password in here? Complex. It's true. So with that, let's take a break. You understand how the password encryption works with the virtual attribute. We will use Rails and we plug it in. Rails doesn't make you write this, don't worry. But it's important to understand this.